Good evening, Bahamas. This is NB12 broadcasting from Cable 12 Studios on Robinson Road. Here's what's making news tonight. More details emerging from this morning's murder-suicide and police shootout. Still, no F&M candidate for the North Abaco by-election. Star of popular reality courtroom show Judge Joe Brown in the Bahamas. We'll tell you what he's recommending to the Bahamian government. Plus, the Defense Force launches its first ever reserve program. I'm Nakia DeVoe and NB12 starts right now. Thanks again for joining us here at NB12. A woman was this morning murdered by a man who lived next door to her, who took his own life after injuring 3 police officers who came to her rescue. That murder-suicide in Bamboo Town still sending shockwaves throughout that community. Juan McCartney has details and surveillance footage from the scene before the gunman died.
"33-year-old Casey Adderley was on her way home last night when she passed this apartment where 22-year-old Brian Carroll was waiting with a shotgun. He hit the jewelry store clerk twice, and she fell right here. Assistant Commissioner of Police Anthony Ferguson said the shooting began around 12:30 this morning through Cox Way off East Street, and officers arrived on the scene just a few minutes later. Carroll, 22, lived in one side of the cream and brown duplex with his mother. Adderley lived right next door. As far as police reported up to airtime, that was the only relationship they shared. Adderley was still alive after Carroll shot her, according to police, though her life was ebbing away as officers tried to get to her. This surveillance footage obtained from a neighbor shows officers arriving on scene. As the minutes passed, dozens of heavily armed officers eventually arrived, blocking off Cox Way at the nearest intersection. But as the officers carefully approached, they realized that the violence was far from over. Crime scene investigators say Carroll took up tactical positions at the front and the rear of the apartment. He shot from that window at officers onto the street, and even, they say, at his neighbors. You can see here where this Honda was shot up. The footage shows that as police advanced west along Cox Way, they were eventually pushed back by the barrage of gunfire. You can see some of them running away as the shots flew. Carroll ended up hitting 3 officers in the face and hands. They were eventually taken to hospital by police and have since been released. But police still had the problem of dealing with the gunman and trying to extract Adderley, still unsure if she was dead or alive. Eventually, officers got to her, and she was still clinging to life. This footage shows where police placed her body on the hood of a car and drove her slowly out of the danger zone. You can see one officer trying to administer help to the severely injured young woman as the car exits. But Adderley wouldn't make it through the night, eventually succumbing to her injuries. However, the nightmare wasn't over. As police entered Carroll's home in force, they found that the gunman took his own life with a shotgun blast to the head. Neighbors we spoke to said they were in shock, but have frankly been somewhat desensitized to crime in the area after several violent and sometimes deadly incidents have taken place nearby over the past few years. Police were at last report attempting to question Carroll's mother to ascertain the answers to many questions, such as whose shotgun was Carroll wielding and what could have possibly prompted the young man to wreak such havoc and take 2 lives. Reporting for NB12, I'm Juan McCartney.
Well, police are tonight on the hunt for 2 men who stole an armored truck outside Burger King's Cable Beach location Thursday evening. We're told the incident occurred around 6:15 when 2 guards from ICS Security Concepts pulled into the establishment to collect a deposit bag. While one went inside, he was approached by one of the gunmen who reportedly exited a Champagne Nissan Skyline vehicle as he held the guard at gunpoint. The second suspect jumped into the armored truck's driver's seat. He was soon joined by by his accomplice, and both fled the scene with a truck that already contained money from other business pickups earlier that evening. That truck was later found abandoned along a nearby street. Police have a description for one of those men. He's said to be tall, slim, and fair-skinned. CDU Police Superintendent Paul Roll says no shots were fired during the incident and no one was hurt. An alleged murder accused is now facing double murder charges. Paige McCartney was in court today as the charges were read. She has more in this report.
Police say Anton Wright was already allegedly out on bail for 2008 murder, and now he's being charged with an additional 2 that occurred this year.
The 31-year-old resident of East Street South wasn't required to enter pleas to the charges read to him by Chief Magistrate Roger Gomez. According to police, Wright was allegedly behind the May 9th murder of Dean Webster in the Kemp Road area. Reports were that shortly after midnight on that date, the 28-year-old victim was shot multiple times about the body at St. James and Kemp Roads after being approached by the occupants of a black Honda. Webster was taken to hospital via EMS personnel but was pronounced dead a few hours later. The second murder that Wright stands accused of happened on February 28th, also in the Kemp Road area. Police say it was then that Jamal Ferguson was shot and killed. Wright's matter was adjourned to November 29th when he will return to court to be served a voluntary bill of indictment that will fast-track his case to the Supreme Court. He was remanded to prison until then. For NB12, I'm Paige McCartney.
3 bodies have now been found in southeast New Providence in the last 24 hours, all suspected of being passengers aboard a Haitian vessel which ran aground Independence Day. The latest body was found this morning around 8. Our news team was on scene shortly after officers made the discovery on a beach off Marshall Road. 2 bodies washed up at the Seabreeze Canal yesterday, the first around 10:36 a.m. and the other was found shortly after 5 p.m. Police say they're working to confirm the identities of those decomposing bodies. At this point, Police Inspector Chrislyn Skipping says they are not certain whether the bodies are that of additional Haitian nationals who may have been a part of that deadly 6-day sea voyage from Haiti to the Bahamas. But Skipping says they're looking into that possibility. And in other news, North Abaco constituents will have to wait a little longer to find out who the Free National Movement's candidate is in the North Abaco by-election. The opposition scheduled a news conference for 8:30 last night to introduce its candidate. However, at 9:30 p.m., FNM leader Dr. Hubert Minnis revealed that the process is taking longer than anticipated. He explained that the council is having a hard time deciding between 4 finalists who are all Abaco natives. Vonning Toot reports.
The Free National Movement had expected to announce the name of its candidate in the North Abaco by-election on Thursday night. However, party leader Dr. Hubert Minnis says the 4 men in the running for the party's nomination are so outstanding that officials have not yet made a decision. At this point, he says Greg Gomez, Perry Thomas, Kai Mills, and Jackson McIntosh are all neck and neck.
All candidates are very, very outstanding. And the process is taking a lot longer than we had anticipated, and therefore we cannot conclude it. We have never before, to my knowledge, had such outstanding candidates who want to represent the Free National Movements. And we feel that through the democratic process, we're going through a methodical democratic process.
Members of the FNM's National Central Council met until 11:30 last night and held further meetings today. However, Dr. Minnis says he doubts they will have a name by tonight. Here's how the process works.
The association in Abaco would have submitted names, their recommendation. They would have subsequently been referred and vetted by the candidate executive committee, candidates committee, and after which they would have been referred to the council for ratification.
The opposition began eyeing possible candidates in May after North Abaco Member of Parliament Hubert Ingram announced that he would be leaving frontline politics. The former Prime Minister is expected to formally resign as an MP on July 19th. That's next week. Under the Bahamian Constitution, a by-election must be held within 60 days of a member's resignation. Progressive Liberal Party candidate Renardo Curry, whom Ingram defeated by nearly 400 votes, turned down a Senate appointment to run in the upcoming by-election. Dr. Minnis says the party fully expects to retain the North Abaco seat.
Absolutely. We're not only aiming to secure the seat, we're aiming to increase the margin of victory. All four of our candidates would still be doing ground campaigning. But people know the position of the FNM. They know what we stand for, and the people will take all of that into consideration.
The FNM leader says Mr. Ingram has been consulted as the party prepares to select a candidate, and he has also committed to campaigning for that person. Dr. Minnis also responded to Prime Minister Perry Christie's claim that the timing of the much-talked-about gambling referendum hinges on whether Mr. Ingram goes ahead with his planned resignation from the House of Assembly.
Prime Minister Christie always knew that Ingram would have eventually resigned. So you can put the pieces together yourself. That's nothing new to him. So he knew that. He made the commitment. He made the commitment that the referendum would be done by the end of this year.
Hubert Ingram was elected by residents of North Abaco for 8 consecutive terms, twice as a PLP, once as an independent, and 5 times as an FNM. Reporting for NB12, I'm Vonique Tude.